Hey guys, welcome back to another, I guess, Apatosaur guide slash gameplay slash type of thing. This time we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually playing Guild Wars, and I wanted to do a video talking about Condi Thief builds. And I'm really sorry I haven't been putting out videos, guys. School just started. I work at a school, and it's been pretty crazy with all the new students coming in, so I actually haven't had too much time to even play video games at all since August, with the exception of Guild Wars, which I can just kind of mindlessly do while I'm at work. Just because the way my job is, I can play video games at work because I have a lot of free time. It's a lot of just monitoring, making sure that everything's okay. But I can't play games I actually need to commit to, which is kind of what Smite is. But hopefully on my days off, whenever I get any, I'll be putting up some more Smite videos and getting back into that because I miss that game so very much. And there's a Zeus buff coming up, so I'm pretty excited about that. But for right now, we're going to be talking about Condi Thieves. So this is my thief, recently level 80'd thief. I put a lot of work into this thief. I actually started playing Guild Wars in 2013. Got this chick up to probably level 60. Before I stopped playing, came back into it, just powered up all the way to 80, and now we are here, and I'm learning to PvP, and I've been doing the Thief power build, which has worked fairly well, but I want to try something a little more fun, a little more adventurous, so that is why we're doing a Condi build. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into what a Condi build is. So in this game, there is something called condition damage. If I hover over this, you can see next to the little one there, it says plus 25 condition damage, plus 50 condition damage, all this kind of stuff. Condition damage means that your bleeds, your poisons, torment, confusion, all that kind of stuff is going to be doing more damage based on how much condition damage that you have. So right now I'm hovering at about 1300 condition damage. I probably want to jack that up a little bit higher, but for right now, that's just what I have. My gear is not that great, so we'll go ahead and I guess go from there and hope that we get some more condition damage stuff later on. So we're looking at the weapons right now, and we're actually going to which runes I use. I do use the short bow and then pistol dagger combination with the pistol in the main hand. Those are the two weapon sets that I use. I will talk about the pistol and dagger combination first. I use Sigil of Agony, which increases your bleed duration because your auto attack on your one causes a stacking bleed, and your sneak attack, so when you're stealth and you do your one, it actually applies 5 stacks of bleeding immediately and does quite a bit of damage. So having that extra bleed duration in there is going to be really strong. You also get that from the Rune of the Crate. I'll talk about that in a minute. On my offhand, I pick up the Pearl Carver of Fire. It doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, it normalizes the attributes. So the rune I put there is the sigil, or the sigil I put there is the Sigil of Purity. That means that my Q, which will probably be 5 for you if you haven't changed your key bindings, and my 3 will stand a pretty good chance of removing a condition. I think it also works in your E, but I actually haven't tested it yet, so we'll see. I'll try it out and see what happens. I might put an annotation or something in here. And then on my weapon swap, the thing that I have is this this short bow with the Sigil of Doom, which causes your next attack after you swap to this weapon while in combat to inflict a poison, and Sigil of Leeching, which gives you a little bit of lifesteal there. Rune of the Crate, 100% you need this. If you're going to do a Condi build, you need Rune of the Crate. It gives you a ton of bleed damage, ton of bleed duration, gives you a chance when struck to cause bleeding. I mean, it's just insane. It does so much bleeding, and it's just awesome. So you want to pick that up. And then for your amulet, I do the Carrion Amulet. I'm sure there are other amulets, but I like having the extra vitality there just to kind of give me a little boost in my health pool so I can kind of stay alive a little bit longer. In the trait line here, we have Trickery, Deadly Arts, and Shadow Arts. And I'm not going to talk about the things that you have to take. I'm going to talk about the ones that I have decided to take, and maybe some other ones that might kind of supplement your condition build a little bit better. So the first thing I want to talk about in the trickery is right here, Thrill of the Crime. I take Thrill of the Crime because when you steal, it grants you all these boons, and it's super duper strong, and it grants it to all your allies standing around you. So I like that. For a true Condi, Thief, or Conditioned build, I would probably take Caltrops, an Uncatchable. Since I just hit level 80, I am still learning the mechanics of like dodging effectively, and like when I should dodge and when I should like wait to dodge, because sometimes it's better than others, and learning the opportunity always kind of screws in my head. So when I get better at that, I'll probably switch to Uncatchable, just because it gives you that bleed sustain, which is pretty good, and a cripple, so you can do a little more kiting, and it's every time you dodge, so that's really strong. I mean, it's just like your ability that you have down here, Caltrops, but you get it for free when you dodge, so pretty strong. But for right now, Thrill of the Crime is where I go. Bountiful Theft gives you that vigor, 50% endurance regeneration, that's pretty good. And it grants it to your allies as well. So just like this, you're granting stuff to your allies, that's really, really good. Tricks, if you're using tricks, which I am not actually using a trick right now, but if you already use a trick like Withdrawal as your healing skill, this will be really strong because it removes conditions, and getting that condition removal is really good. But we have another form of condition removal, and I'll talk about that here in a minute when I get to it. If you're good at interrupting things, which if you were running a dagger main hand, pistol offhand, I would probably recommend this a little bit more, but for a true Condi build, you want to run a pistol main hand, dagger offhand. So just don't worry about taking that. The next thing we want to talk about here is Bewildering Ambush, and that just applies confusion when you steal. Just another condition that they're going to have to deal with, so it's really, really good. Let's see. Down here in the Deadly Arts, we got Mug. That's one that I like to take because your steal is kind of on a short cooldown once you trade it all out. So having that steal on a lower cooldown makes it so you can actually utilize this quite a bit. And you get life from stealing, and you deal damage, so just that extra little damage boost is pretty strong. Moving on, Panic Strike is something that I really like. When enemies are below that 50% threshold, they're going to be immobilized, and that's really strong. You can kind of stick to them, do a little more damage. If you're doing a trap build, which we're not, I might talk about trap build some other time, but if you're doing trap build, you take that. But this is also another one that I would take maybe for my condition build. It really depends on how you like playing. Since you are going to be stealthing a lot, I mean, if you just look at these abilities you have over here, you have a stealth, you have a stealth, you have a stealth, you have a stealth, like you have a billion stealths, your steal stealths, because we're going to trait for that. If you're doing that, I mean, revealed training might not be a bad thing to do, except then you can't stealth while you're being revealed, so that kind of sucks, but it does give you that power spike, which is pretty good. Moving over here, Potent Poison, increased poison duration, poison deals increased damage, straightforward, long and short of it, it's very, very good. I would do that, I would take that. If you're finding you're blowing people up really, really quickly, and your poison's obviously not taking the full duration, probably pick up Executioner, just because you deal a little more damage at that lower threshold, health threshold there, 50%, because you already have one thing for 50%, you might as well take another one. But that's only if you're finding you're blowing people up quick. Shadow Arts, we're going to talk about Shadow's Embrace, and while you are in stealth, you periodically remove conditions, which is why I said up here, you know, taking this Trickster condition removal is not really that important, because this trait right here, Shadow's Embrace with Shadow Refuge, those two things kind of put together should clear out your conditions pretty quickly, and it happens every 3 seconds, so it's pretty often. I do Hidden Thief because stealing grants you stealth. There is a way to do this build without taking Hidden Thief and do the same kind of damage rotation I'll be showing you guys here in a little bit. And if you're doing that, you can really take any of these because all of these traits are really strong. If you're finding that you're applying Basilisk Venom, then I would take this one as your elite skill here. But for my build, I usually use Dagger Storm. So Basilisk Venom, if you decide to take that, you like using Basilisk Venom over this elite skill Dagger Storm, then take that trait. Otherwise, pick up this one or this one. Shadow Ray Protector, just helping your allies out, helping with that sustain, keeping people alive. That's really good. So if you're not going to take this, take that. And then up here in the final skill, or final trait, regenerating health and initiative while in stealth. Super duper strong because you're going to be stealthing quite a bit. So go ahead and pick that up. If you are using Basilisk Venom or something as your elite skill, pick up that, the Venomous Aura. And otherwise, I mean, you could use this. I don't really think it's that great, but you could use Blinding Powder. It's up to you. I personally go with Shadow Rejuvenation. So, okie dokie. So those are the traits, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the damage rotation. So there's no like set rotation, obviously, for PvP, but there is a set opening rotation that I like to use or try to use, and that is using that steel to get in there. As you can see, my steel applies from like poison all the way down to the stealth line there. I traded for all of that stuff, so my steel just does a ton of stuff. That's really good. You want to be stealing as often as you can, keeping that damage, those damage boons up on you, keeping that confusion up on them, keeping that poison up on them. Very strong, and that stealth is also very, very strong. You can use the thing that you steal from them. I usually don't. If you're stealing from a guardian, maybe use it to interrupt their abilities, because you get that interrupt mace thing. So you could do that. Otherwise, kind of, I mean, I guess if you're stealing from a thief, you can get that. You can use that stealth effectively as well. But otherwise, like if you use it, that's fine. If you don't use it, it's not a big deal. It's not really part of the rotation. So I usually steal in, get that stealth rolling, and then do my sneak attack on my 1. That applies an instant 5 stacks of bleeding and does 810 damage 5 times in a row. So it's very quick succession. So you'll like just pop in invisibility and go and like hit him like 5 times like it's like a machine gun. It's really, really strong. So it does a lot of damage right up front. You can then go to a body shot. It's kind of not worth the initiative in my opinion. I usually go to Shadow Strike next. So you'll like stab them and jump away, inflicting a torment, which is another condition, very strong. And then from there you can kite. And if you need to re-stealth and they're close by, you can hit them with that cloak and dagger, get you some stealth, and apply that vulnerability very strong. Over here, I pick up Hide in the Shadows. If you want to pick up Withdrawal, if you traded for that, that's great. I always go Hide in the Shadows. It helps just with a little more sustain, keeping you invisible. Shadow Step, staple in Thief builds in PvP, so take that every time. Shadow Refuge, same thing. Blinding Powder, you can take this. I've been toying around with using Shadow Trap, but it takes too long to set up in my opinion, so Blinding Powder is kind of the way to go here. Shadow Trap, if you're finding that you're blowing people up really fast and they're running away from you, maybe look into Shadow Trap, or maybe even Scorpion Wire. I don't really know. Usually I just pop in, apply a bunch of poisons and conditions and bleeds and all that stuff, and then I just run away. So Blinding Powder, really strong, applies that blindness so they miss the next attack. And then for your ultimate, go Dagger Storm, because we traded for Dagger Storm. I didn't directly talk about it, but we traded for your elite skill to apply Torment and Poison in addition to whatever the elite skill does. So in this situation, it applies Bleeding, Torment, and Poison, which is awesome. So, without further ado, let's get into this damage rotation. So I'm going to jump in with my R and then immediately hit my 1. See? That very quick succession. Pop away with the 3, and just like that, he's already got 4 conditions on him. And then from there, you can kind of like, you can sit back and kite, continue to apply that bleed if you'd like to do that. You can always Shadow Step back in, hit him with another Torment, back out, you know, kite around, Shadow Step back to your original position. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you could do. For the most part, this is kind of going to be what you do, though. You're going to pop in, pop out, you know, stealth, and hit him with your 1 just to apply that quick bleed and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. Obviously, it's not going to be that clean when you're in PvP, but that is how you do a lot of damage. At least that's how you open. Or that's how I open on individuals. This build is going to do really well against one opponent, maybe two, maybe like a 2v1. So I guess 1v2, I guess, because you'd be the 1 versus 2. It could be really good for that. I don't think too many more people, if you're doing like a 1v3, I think you're probably going to die in that situation. So 1v2 is probably going to work out really well. I mean, you're not an engineer, so you can't really do a 1v3 as well as they can, or a necromancer. But people tend to focus thieves because they can do a lot of damage. The thing I was talking about, if you want to build into this trait instead of Hidden Thief, oh, now I'm in combat, but you can do that, and I'll show you how to do it here in a minute. Let me try and get out of combat. Maybe. I don't think it's going to let me out of combat. There it goes. So I'll show you that here in a minute, but this brings up a really good point. When you're in combat, if you pop over to your bow at the end of combat, you get this leeching and this doom. You can switch back and that doesn't go away. Those buffs stay there, so your next thing is going to do exactly what that says. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can do that, it works really well. Otherwise, I mean, I usually use my bow for escapes, maybe tossing down a poison field, but otherwise I don't really use my bow a whole lot for combat, unless I'm trying to sit back and do a lot of range stuff. So let's show you if we untrait that and trait up to Shadow Protector, or really anything else in this. The new rotation for you, you're going to want to get that stealth and that bleed from your 1 off. And I actually kind of like this a little bit better sometimes, but what I do is I steal in and then hit him with the Cloak and Dagger to apply that vulnerability and stealth, and then after you stealth, hit him with your 1. So that looks something like this.
I feel good.
So just there, I just did steal, Cloak and Dagger, 1, 3. All very, very quickly. And I didn't use too much initiative. And look how much damage I did to him. That's like, I mean, this is how Condi or thieves work. This is how Condi thieves work. And then once you kind of pop back, you're just kind of going to sit at range. Apply that bleed. Get them killed. I mean, that's what you do. I actually like that better. I'll probably start running that a little more often. But if you're still struggling to pull off the steal into Cloak and Dagger, which can be really hard depending on how you have your key binding set up. It's easy for me because I just have Q and then R, and it's all very like, you know, boop boop boop, like right away. But could be difficult for some people. Then stick with the Hidden Thief where you like pop in and steal, and that grants stealth. Otherwise, this works really well. I got stuck on the cliff there. There we go. So there you go. Obviously, you can apply more stacks of Torment. Like if I wanted to jump back in, I could have Shadow Step back in, hit him with another 3. That would have moved me back here again. You can kite around, Shadow Step to your original position. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this build. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. For my loyal Smite followers, I'll be working harder to get some of those Smite videos out. I just need to actually have time to play Smite. So once I do, and I mean I should here in the next month or two, I'll start putting out some more Smite videos, and we'll see how things go from there. So until then, leave a comment if you like Guild Wars 2 content. I'll keep generating it. I have a couple of different guides I'd like to do, so go ahead and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.